about the music business by Donald S. Passman, one of my favorite music books. Um, we're gonna start where we left off yesterday. Chapter 5: Attorneys. Role: attorneys in the music business do not much more than just look over contracts and advise clients about the law. They're very involved in structuring deals and shaping artists' business lives. Lawyers have evolved into one of the most powerful groups in the music industry. Odd is that they may sound to you. The reason is that the power bases in the music business aren't concentrated in any other group. For example, in the film business, the major agencies are the more powerful players. In the music business, the agents are powerful but limited in their space of influence, as we'll see in the next chapter. Personal managers are very powerful, but the nature of the job limits the number of clients they could take. Business managers could have a lot of major clients, but they deal only in limited financial areas and are therefore not power bases. Lawyers, on the other hand, are involved in all areas, and because the time required for each client is less than that of a personal manager, they can handle more clients. This means the attorneys end up seeing more deals than anyone else, and therefore have more knowledge of what's going down around town. Consequently, they can be influential in determining which company will get a particular deal, which means the companies want to keep them happy. They can also influence which personal manager and which business manager get a client, which means these guys also want to keep the lawyers happy. This means lawyers have power and are happy. Style. They are distinctly separate styles of attorneys in the music business. Some are into hanging out and acting as if they're one of the band members, while others stick to the business side. There are power good lawyers and excellent lawyers who lose sight of the big picture. And of course, there's a whole spectrum in between. Using the techniques in chapter 2, first assure yourself you're talking to a good, competent lawyer. After that, the matchup of style is mostly a matter of your personal taste. For example, if you like Flash, you may want a flashy lawyer. Although I find more often that flashy artists like the lawyers to be staid and solid. If you're honest and straightforward in your business dealings, be sure to get an honest and straightforward lawyer. Your references will tell you who is and who isn't. If you aren't, they are unfortunately lawyers to match you. Clout. It's true that a lawyer with clout can get through to people that other lawyers can't, or at least they can get through faster. Indeed, one of the major things to look for in a lawyer is his or her relationships in the industry. Let me illustrate with a story about remodeling my house. Over the years, I went through a number I went through a number of house remodels, always looking for the cheapest possible price, which meant dealing directly with the workman. I finally got sick of that. I finally got sick of that process, so I broke down and hired a contractor. During this job, for the first time, I realized the value of a general contractor. In the past, whenever I called up a tile man, electrician, plumber, etc., these people can have cared less about me. They came to a job when it was convenient, when it was convenient for them. If ever, if my sink leaked for a few days, they didn't care because they had a lot of other customers. On the other hand, when the contractor called, they jumped. The reason was pretty simple. If they didn't satisfy the contractor, they didn't just lose one job, they lost the next year's work. The same applies to lawyers. Record companies can't ignore phone calls from important lawyers, nor can they afford to treat them shabby in any particular transaction. The reason is the same as with the contractor. They're going to be dealing with the lawyers over and over, and they don't want to make enemies of them. So a lawyer with good relationships will get you deals done quicker. And if they know what they're doing, you will get the maximum that can legitimately be had. You should also know what clout doesn't do. There is only so much you can get from any particular deal, regardless of who's asking. If a record company doesn't like your music, they're not going to sign you because you're a lawyer. If you're hot, if they're hot for you, you'll get a deal even if you're represented by Kim Jong Un. Put it another way, the real clout is your musical talent. No, I'm not talking about lawyers' experience and knowledge that are truly valuable and will indeed get you the maximum for the negotiation. But you should have a perspective on the hype and importance of clout. Loose lips. Be especially wary of a lawyer who tells you about other clients' lives. Some lawyers, for example, will tell you exactly what deal they got for a specific client, apart from the fact that this violates the attorney's canon of ethics. It also means they will be telling other people about your deal. It may appear that these people trade confidential information for secrets they wouldn't otherwise have. But in fact, the opposite is almost always the case. Everyone knows they have a big mouth, or they're only told things that people want spread around. Most lawyers in the music business don't charge on just an hourly basis. For the ones that do, the rates are from a $300 plus per hour for new lawyers, up to 1,000 or more for biggies. Excuse me. Some of us charge a percentage, usually 5%, while others do something known as value billing, often with the hourly rate or retainer against it. A retainer is a set monthly fee, like the business manager's minimum fee discussed on page 52, and is either credited against the ultimate fee, or it's a flat fee for covering all services. Value billing means that when the deal is finished, the lawyer asks for a fee based on the size of the deal and his or her contribution to it. If the lawyer had very little to do with the shaping of the deal, but rather just the contract, the fee should be close to an hourly rate. Though, I get heat for selling you this because it's usually more. On the other hand, if the lawyer came up with a clever concept or strategy that made you substantial money, or the lawyer made the introduction or created the deal from scratch, he or she will ask for a much larger fee. If your lawyer value bills, you should ask in advance what the fee is likely to be, so there won't be any real surprises. Sometimes you could pre-negotiate the fee based on results. For example, if I get you X, you'll pay me Y. If I get you 2 times X, I get Z. At a minimum, get a ballpark range. Conflicts of interest. A lawyer has a conflict of interest when his or her clients get into a situation where their interests are adverse, i.e., opposing each other. This is easy to see. For example, when two clients of the same lawyer want to sue each other, however, it's also a conflict when two clients of the same lawyer make a deal with each other. Lawyers are ethically required to disclose their conflicts of interest to you. Your choice is to hire another lawyer or to waive, meaning you choose to ignore the conflict and continue to use the same lawyer. Because the entertainment industry is a relatively small business. Those of us who practice in the field are continually bumping into ourselves when our clients make deals with each other. Most of the time, these situations are harmless, can be handled simply in one of several ways. One, each of the clients gets another lawyer, rare unless it's a pretty serious conflict. Two, one of the clients gets another lawyer, much more common. Or three, the clients work out the agreement among themselves. Or else the manager, agent, or business manager negotiates for them, and the lawyer merely draws up the paperwork, not representing anyone's interest. When interviewing attorneys, you should ask if they have or foresee any conflicts of interest. Most ethical lawyers will bring it up before you do, but you should ask anyways. For example, your lawyer might also represent your record company, your merchandiser, your personal manager, producer, publisher, etc. It's not uncommon for a personal manager to recommend his or her own lawyer. Mm. Business manager, etc. And that's it's not uncommon for lawyers to represent both the personal manager and the artist. Most of the time, this isn't a problem. However, if you get into a fight with your personal manager, the lawyer will probably have to resign, or at least resign your side if the manager was there first. And you can't expect him or her to represent you against the personal manager in making a management deal. In short, there are so hard, or there's no hard and fast rules about conflicts. If the lawyer is straight and ethical, you can usually live with their representing a few other people in your life. But if you have a problem with another of your lawyer's clients, you must seriously consider getting separate counsel. And if you don't like the idea of your lawyer having these conflicts, which is perfectly reasonable way to feel, get someone who's independent. Conflicts, by the way, are not limited to lawyers. Business managers can have conflicts when they represent both the personal manager and the artist. For example, when there's a dispute over commissions, managers can have conflicts when they act in some other capacity, such as becoming the producer of the artist's motion pictures and negotiating a fee for themselves that affects what the artist gets paid. Managers can have the conflicts when they have two artists vying for the same gig. Like I say, it's small business, but we generally work things out. A disturbing thing that's happened over the years is for some lawyers are selling conflicts of interest as a benefit to their clients. For example, they might suggest that you'll get a better deal with a certain record company or publisher because they also represent them. I'll give you my subtle opinion of this pitch. It's utter nonsense. if the lawyer is being paid by a record company or publisher for work on other clients, it's human nature to think twice about how hard they want to beat them up and jeopardize a profitable relationship, especially for artists who will pay them much less. Second, it's unethical for them to use any information they gain representing a company when negotiating against the company. And you can bet the company is neither going to like it or nor permit it. So be wary of any pitch along these lines. As I said earlier, it is certainly possible for you to live with a conflict if you're fully informed and are comfortable that the lawyer will be in your corner. But a conflict is a reason to be careful, not a plus. Accordingly, the issue must be left to the tummy test. In other words, ask yourself whether your tummy feels like it's okay or whether you're concerned about it. If you're concerned, get another lawyer. Attorney checklist. Here are some questions to ask your potential lawyer. 1. Do you have expertise in the music business? What kind of deals have you done? 2. What do you charge? 3. Do you have a written form agreement or fee agreement? In California, lawyers can enforce their fee agreements unless they're in writing, which is obviously a major incentive to have a written contract. If your lawyer requires one, ask for a copy so you can review it. If your lawyer requires one, ask for a copy so you can review it. I said that twice so y'all understand it. It's unethical in California for lawyers to have an agreement that can be terminated at any time. If it's a percentage arrangement, be careful about what happens to the percentage after the term. See the discussion of this under management deals on page 38. 4. You should act if they object to your having the fee agreement reviewed by an independent advisor, preferably a lawyer, but at least a personal manager or business manager. No legitimate lawyer will object to this, and in fact, they should encourage it. If it's all possible, you should have your lawyer's fee agreement reviewed independently, especially if it involves a percentage. If it isn't possible to do this, make sure the lawyer explains it to you in detail and that you understand it. 5. Do you have or foresee any conflict of interest? 6. Ask for references of artists at your level or check them out. Does the lawyer return phone calls? Do they get deals done in a reasonable period of time? Reasonable in the music business is not going to be anywhere near the speed you like. It's not uncommon for a record deal to take 2 to 4 months to negotiate, especially if you're a new artist and can't force the company to quickly turn around their contract drafts. 2 to 4 months is a realistic time frame, but if it goes beyond that, someone isn't doing their job. I've always been amused by a story I heard from a new client when I was a young lawyer. He had been represented by another lawyer, and as he handed me his record deal, he said, I know this is a good deal. It took over a year to negotiate. Thank y'all for y'all time. I appreciate it. This was All You Need to Know About the Music Business by Donald S. Pasman. Chapter 5, we're going to stop at page 61. Chapter 6, Agents. Thank y'all for y'all time. Make sure y'all follow, share, subscribe. Appreciate y'all time. Stay motivated. Keep y'all head up. We global.